Okay, so we're going to start reviewing for the unit test. Today I'm working 55 through 68. Okay, so a few pages that we're going to work. So find the interior angle sum for each polygon. Okay, so what I'm asking here is basically find how much do the angles on the inside add up to. Now remember that for this, I showed you guys a formula, and we were using how many sides the polygon had. So let me count how many sides does the polygon have. I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So let me write this as n is equal to 7. Now what that means is this polygon has 7 sides. And I remember I gave you a formula. Let me remind you of the formula. N minus 2. So the amount of sides minus 2 times 180 is going to equal to how much do all the angles add up to? I'm going to use a calculator. In this case, I'm going to go 5 times 180. Again, I'm going to use a calculator. And in my case, I get 900. 5 times 180 equals 900. All right, let's take a look at question number 56. Let me count how many sides this polygon has. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so this thing has 5 sides. For me to know how much all the angles on the inside add up to, I'm going to go 3 times 180. All right, the 3, remember n minus 2, 5 minus 2, that's where I got the 3 from. 3 times 180. My case, I happen to get 540. And to use a calculator if needed. So 540. Okay, not bad. Now let's take a look at question number 57 through 58. Let me flip my page. Let's see, 57 through 58. I flip my page. Find the measure of one interior angle. Okay, so first of all, we need to know how much all the angles on the inside add up to. Here I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 sides. So for me to know how much all of them add up to, I'm going to go 2 times 180. Remember the 2 because n minus 2, remember the formula? So 2 times 180, I know it's 360. All of my angles on the inside are going to add up to 360. Now here it says find the measure of one interior angle. So they need to know how much is just one of the angles, not all of them. Some of my answers might be decimal. So I'm going to round my answer to the nearest 10th if necessary. So 1 decimal place. All right, so I know all of the angles add up to 360. I'm going to divide this by 4 because there's 4 angles. 360 divided by 4 is 90. So one of my angles is 90. We can be like, yeah, that one kind of looked like 90 to begin with. Well, now we know. Let's take a look at number 58. Let me count how many sides does my polygon have. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So let me just write n is equal to 10, right? 10 sides. For me to know how much all of my angles add up to, I'm just going to go 8 times 180. Remember that 8, remember n minus 2? That's where I got the 8 from. So 8 times 180. Now 8 times 180 is 1,440. This is how much all of my angles add up to. And now this thing, I'm going to divide this by 10. I'm dividing it by 10 because there's 10 sides. So that means there's 10 angles. 1,440 divided by 10. In my case, I get 144. Some of your answers might be decimals. Don't forget to round it to the nearest tenth. Now let's take a look at number 59 and 60. For us to not get confused, let me switch this to blue so we don't get confused. Now here it says solve for x. I'm just gonna add everything. I'm gonna go 89 plus 5x minus 8 plus 3x plus 4 plus 51. I'm gonna add everything. I remembered that addition is basically combining your like terms. So when I look at my x's, I have 5x plus 3x. So I'm just gonna call that 8x. So I was adding my letters first. 5x plus 3x, I don't see anymore. Now on my other numbers, I see 89 minus 8 plus 4 plus 51. And that is 136. I added all my letters, I added all my numbers, and this must equal to something. Okay. Now these are the angles on the inside. There's 4 sides, right? There's 4 corners. So for me to know how much all of this add up to, I'm gonna go 2 times 180. Again, let me write this on the top. N is equal to 4. There were 4 sides. So for me to know how much all of them add up to, I have to go 2 times 180. The 2, because remember the formula n minus 2. All right, so I have that 8x plus 136 is equal to 360. 2 times 180 gave me 360. I want that 8x by itself, so this plus 136. Let me move it to the other side as a minus 136. So I'm gonna get that 8x is equal to 224. 360 minus 136 gives me 224. Let me divide both sides by 8. Now 224 divided by 8 is 28. All right, my instructions were solve for x. X equals 28. There you go. 28 is the value of x. Let's take a look at number 60. I'm going to add everything, but I remember that when I'm adding, again, I'm combining my like terms. So let me take a look at my x's first. Let me take a look at the letters. 4x plus 3x plus 1x plus 2x plus 3x plus 5x. So I'm really looking at 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5. So I have 18x. And then when I'm looking at just numbers, I'm looking at 7 plus 1 plus 1 minus 5 minus 4. All right, so 7 plus 1 plus 1, that's 9, minus 5 minus 4, that's 0. I'm not going to write plus 0, right? That's irrelevant. So I just have 18x. Actually, for right now, let me just write it so we don't get confused. Plus 0, okay? Plus 0 equals. Now I need to know how much my angles add up to. There's 6 angles, right? If we count, there's 6 sides, there's 6 corners. Let me write on the top, n is equal to 6, right? There's 6 of them. So for me to know how much all of them add up to, I'm gonna go 4 times 180. And the 4, n minus 2. Okay. So on the left side, 18x plus 0, I can just call that 18x, right? The plus 0, it's irrelevant. Now 4 times 180 is 720. I'm looking at this as an algebra question. If there was plus or minus something, obviously move it to the 720, but nothing there. So to get the x by itself, let me divide both sides by 18. Now 720 divided by 18 happens to be 40. All right, so now let's review in question 61 through 62. Find the measure of one exterior angle in each regular polygon. Round your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. So when I'm looking at number 61, if I was to extend one of my sides, I'm looking at the angle on the outside. I want to know how much is one of those angles. So first of all, I see how many sides does my polygon have. I'm on the right, n is equal to 5. Right, there's 5 sides, so there's 5 angles. Right, I can see them. These are the angles I'm talking about. Now, when it comes to angles on the outside, it doesn't matter how many there are. All of them combined, it's always 360. So if I was to do how much is all of them is 360. But here, because I'm being asked how much is only one of them, so let me go 360 divided by 5 because there's 5 of them. So the angles on the outside, they always add up to 360. But in this case, let me divide it by 5 because there's 5 of them. So I'm going to say each angle on the outside are 72. Let me take a look at number 62. Count the sides. Let me just say n is equal to 8. Right, I've counted the sides. There's 8 sides, so that means there's 8 angles. I want to know how much is one angle on the outside. I know all of them is 3, there's 360. I'm going to go 360 divided by 8. And in my case, I get 45. You might get decimals. Round your answer to the nearest tenth, 1 decimal place. Okay, for us to not get confused on the next one, let me switch to red. Now looking at 63 and 64, the angles are on the outside, I can tell. And the instructions are solve for x. All right, let me add all of my angles. I know when I'm adding all my angles, in this case, all my statements here, let me combine my like terms, right? That's what adding means. So when it comes to letters, I have 7x plus 5x plus 4x plus 4x plus 9x. Let's see, that happens to be 29. So I'm going to say 29x. Now, when it comes to numbers that don't have a letter, I see 4 plus 9 plus 1 minus 6. And that happens to be 12, positive 12. All right, I added all of my angles. Angles on the outside always add up to 360. So let this equal to 360. All right, I'm separating sides through the equal sign. I want the 29x by itself. So this plus 12, let me move it to the other side as a minus 12. So I have 29x equals 360 minus 12 happens to be 348. To get the x by itself, let me divide by 29. 348 divided by 29 happens to be 12. So x is equal to 12. Nice. Let's take a look at question number 64. Just as a reminder, today I'm working up until question number 68. Okay, so 64, let me add all of my angles. So when it comes to letters, I see 11x plus 12x plus 17x plus 12x. So I'm looking at 11 plus 12 plus 17 plus 12. So that gives me 52x. And then for those that don't have an x, I see 74 plus 37 plus 43 plus 50. So that's 204. Okay, so notice I did 74 plus 37 plus 43 plus 50. Okay, you can always pause the video and do your calculations on your calculator. So make sure you were correct. And I know all of this is equal to 360. All right, I want the 52x by itself, so the 204, let me move it as a minus 204. So I have that 52x. Now 360 minus 204 is 156. To get x by itself, let's divide both sides by 52. 156 divided by 52 happens to be 3. Again, you can always pause the video to double check your work. Now 65, right? Let me take a look at 65 and 66. Each, since solve for x, each figure is a trapezoid. Now, interesting part on my trapezoid is that I know that angle D and angle C have to add up to 180. I don't see anything for angle D, but let's just say that angle D and angle C, they must add up to 180. But then I also notice this little mark right here. That tells me it is an isosceles trapezoid. So the two angles at the bottom, angle C and angle F, are equal. The same thing with the two angles on the top, angle D and angle E are equal. I see that angle E is 140. So I'm going to say angle D happens to be 140 as well. Now I know angle D. Remember how a few minutes ago I said angle C plus angle D. So let me just write that down. 3x plus 7 plus 140 equals, remember I said angle C plus angle D equals 180. So let me let this equal to 180. Now I can solve for x. The left side, I cannot combine it all, but at least I can combine some. Let me combine like terms. I get 3x plus 147 equals 180. Right, I combined the 7 plus 140. Notice I combined some. I want the 3x by itself, so the plus 147. Let me move it over as a minus 147. So let's say I have 3x equals 180 minus 147 is 33. All right, let's divide by 3. So I get x equals 11. Nice, x equals 11. Now, question number 66. I noticed that's also an isosceles trapezoid. So I'm going to say that angle Z and angle W are equal. So I'm just going to say W is 85 degrees. And then I know that angle X plus angle W, so 26x minus 9 plus 85, angle X plus angle W have to add up to 180. On the left side, I can combine some of it. So let me just say 26x plus 76. Right, the negative 9 plus 85, that's 76. And I know this is equal to 180. I want the 26x by itself, so this plus 76. Let me move it to the other side as a minus 76. So I get the 26x equals, now 180 minus 76 is 104. To get the x by itself, let me divide both sides by 26. So x equals 104 divided by 26 is 4. So x equals 4. Okay, let's take a look at our last two questions for the day. Questions 67 and 68. Solve for x. The following are kites. Now, one thing I want us to remember with a kite. Let me stand it up. The sides on the top, they're both equal. The two sides at the bottom are both equal, but not all four. Another thing, like I said, if I have it standing up, there are two angles that are equal to each other. The angles at the side. Now, the one in the top and the one on the bottom are different, but the two side angles are equal to each other. When it comes to diagonals, the centered, it's always 90 degrees. The interesting part with diagonals is the angle on the top. I don't know exactly what measurement it is, but it cut it in half. And the same thing with the angles at the bottom. The angle on the top and the angle on the bottom get cut in half with the diagonals, okay? So that's something for us to remember. Let me erase this. Now let's take a look at number 67. I'm gonna say this missing angle is 114. The reason why, because those two angles, the side angles have to be equal. Okay, I have to solve for x. But look, you have all the angles on the inside. So I'm just gonna add everything. 8x minus 7. So let's just go 8x minus 7 plus 114 plus 114 plus 51. I added everything. I have the angles on the inside. Remember the formula n minus 2 times 180? There's there's four angles. There's four sides, right? N equals 4. So let me even write that thing down. N is equal to 4. So based on that formula, I'm going to say all of the angles on the inside add up to 360, right? N minus 2 times 180. That's how I know how much all the angles on the inside add up to. All right, let me separate them to the equal side. Whew, let me do there. The left side, let me combine it a little. When it comes to letters, I have 8x. Now, when it comes to numbers, I have a negative 7 plus 114 plus 114 plus 51. That is 272. So I have that 8x plus 272 equals 360. The plus 272, let me move it over to the other side. I say minus 272. So I have that 8x is equal to 88. Right, 360 minus 272, that's 88. To get x by itself, let's divide both sides by 8. So x equals 11. All right, that was not bad. Now let's take a look at question number 68. I'm gonna say that this corner in here, it is negative 6 plus x. And then I'm gonna say this angle here in the inside is 90 degrees. I want us to focus on one triangle only. I have all three angles of a triangle. So I'm just gonna add everything. Negative 6 plus x plus 61 plus 90, don't forget the 90, is equal to 180. Okay, I'm gonna separate it. Now the left side, okay, let me combine that a little. When it comes to letters, I just have x. When it comes to numbers, negative 6 plus 61 plus 90, that's 145. So x plus 145 is equal to 180. This plus 145, let me move it over as a minus 145. So I get x is equal to 35. So on kites, you might use that opposite angles are equal. And then you might also use that the bottom and the top angles get cut in half. That might give you a triangle. So you might deal with that as well. All right, let me zoom out. There is the work that we did today, 55 through 68.